Welcome to this memory jogger on the topic of managing options. In this memory jogger, we'll be looking at various strategies to deal with optional processes or optional feeders. There's more than one way to deal with optional processes and their impact on TACT. Click through the tabs to review some of the potential strategies to manage optional processes. Sequencing. If the option can be sequenced in a way that the lineup being released to the line resembles the forecast daily volume, then we recommend that you do so. It's unlikely, however, that you'll be able to accomplish a lineup model mix close to the forecast daily volume every day. Fifo Lane. If there is space to hold inventory in the form of a Fifo lane between the feeding and consuming processes, this is another option to consider. The options can be stored in the Fifo lane for later use. Some rearrangement may be required, and that could cause delays. Kanban. This is a more costly option that greatly simplifies the management of the optional processes. In this case, you design the optional process detached from the line and feeding a Kanban supermarket. The downside is the additional cost of the product stored. On the plus side, you treat these options as purchase parts from the line consumption standpoint. Low cost option. If the number of options is low and the cost is low too, you could design multiple IPKs for the different options and make the strategy to just keep them full. For low variety, low cost, this tends to be a very useful strategy. Low capital. When a long TACT process feeds a shorter TACT process, one of the key strategies is to oversize the feeding process by matching the TACT of the feeding process to that of the consuming process. This is bound to increase the capital investment of the feeding process. But what if that capital investment is a few benches and hand tools? If that is the case, oversizing may be your strategy of choice. This does not mean increased staffing if you couple it with flexing. Flexing. We'll study flexing as an operation strategy later in the class. But if operators can flex into the oversized feeding process, then they can throttle the process up or down depending on customer demand. Oversizing a process does not mean increasing staffing. As a matter of fact, it rarely does. Make sure you keep all of these strategies in mind when you're designing your line. This concludes this memory jogger on the topic of managing options.